What's going on, everybody? In today's video, we're on to part 2 of this Rush interview from earlier this year, House of Strombo. This is a requested video. Thanks, Bob, for requesting this. I split it up into 3 parts. This is part 2. If you're new here, please subscribe. Check out my videos, all kinds of videos, reaction videos, bass videos, music videos. Oh yeah. If you like the channel, if you want to support the channel, all kinds of ways, you get a super thanks underneath this video. You can hit me direct in the description. I got PayPal, Venmo, Amazon wishlist, mailing address. Amazing. And now, just like this video, I'm doing requests. I'm doing donation videos. If you want me to check out a video, if you want me to react to something, if you have a question, if you want me to make a video about something, hit me up direct, PayPal, Venmo. Put in the notes what you want me to check out, what your question is, a link, description, whatever, and I'll make a video. Oh yeah, awesome. Bob hit me with PayPal and was like, hey man, check out this interview. Cut it into a couple parts if you want. I know it's long. And, I'm doing it. So here we are. This is part 2. This band has been doing it forever. This guy has been, interviewing people forever. It's obviously quality. So, I thought part 1 was great. So let's check out part 2. Here we go. Bam.
I know you don't like to do this, to talk about any of this stuff without Neil, but here we are. And you have 40 years, and this has got to be really difficult and strange and experience.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's, life post-Neil is still fresh in a way. And what can I say? I think he would be proud of this, and certainly be proud of the live aspect of this record, because his playing is really good. And that's all he cared about. Well, I shouldn't say that's all he cared about, but that was first and foremost in his mind. So
he had said to me once that a big part of what you guys did was write stuff that would be a challenge to play live. And there was always a song on the record that you would write knowing you couldn't play it live. Pre-technology, and that was important to you.
But that whole concept of having to play it live drove our arrangements, it drove our songwriting. And so we'd be in the middle of writing a song, well, we could do this, but if we do that, it's going to be impossible to play it live, so let's not do that. And so in some ways, you limited the scope of the song in order for you to be true to your live architecture, the 3-piece thing that could be convincingly reproduced live. And that, for the longest time, was our mantra, really. It was only later years where we started going, fuck it. What does a song need?
15 tracks of guitar.
What does a song need? Does it really need that 15th track of guitar?
No, but it's cool.
But the strings are good. How are we going to reproduce the strings? We'll figure it out.
Well, then MIDI brought a lot of changes, I suppose.
MIDI changed everything. Synthes changed everything. Samplers changed everything.
But those earlier the arrangements, when we went on the road, it sounded exactly the same as the record, which was really important.
This Maple Leaf Garden show is interesting because it's it's pre-tech in many respects, and there's these 3 guys crushing it on stage, and it does sound like the record and live, but it still feels live, right? And that's why I think it's an interesting choice to have this particular show. As the one that people are very excited about that particular show.
They are. I've read a couple of reviews, and fans are really pleased to have it because it's one night. It's not a compilation, and it's just an actual reliving that night. And I thought the choice of Terry to mix it was really great. And it was nice to be in contact with him again. I mean, it was a little nostalgic, but at the same time, it's great getting emails, finding his name in my inbox, and having to talk about the songs again. And of course, many of them were right in his wheelhouse. That was his period of time. That we were very tight, during that Moving Pictures album. And he was our mentor in many, many ways. So it was appropriate to revisit this live tape with Terry at the helm.
When you hear back and you hear the 3 of you on stage, what do you think?
Oh, I don't know.
Could have done that better. Why did I play that?
You just hear the shitty stuff.
Yeah, it's true. You do. You really do. And,
Boy,
and it
really
never ends.
Fuck that. There's a clam. Clam.
Yeah.
clam.
But you guys could have written easier songs to play, so
Yeah.
That's the other thought you have.
And then on the other hand, you go, wow, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, so you're always reluctant to praise yourself looking back.
Yeah.
But,
I saw the last show in LA, and I knew you guys wanted to keep being in Rush, and of course Neil didn't want to or couldn't, and then we lost him. And you're living in this very bizarre experience now because you two can still do it.
yeah.
And I just wonder how you process that, how you figure your way through that.
Well, I'd say Al and I have different ways of dealing with that. And Al threw himself into little projects and bigger projects, and he kept working throughout the whole thing, and that was a real tonic for him.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that because when we went through our first set of tragedies with Neil back when he lost his wife and daughter, I did that. I threw myself into my solo album, and it saved me in many ways, and it fed me. Let's put it like that. And so for myself, I turned to writing, and I turned to book writing, and that was a way for me to not compete with that moment and those feelings, but a way to take stock and recharge my batteries in a different way. So we've handled it quite differently. But at the end of the day, it was a difficult thing to put aside. I mean, I don't think there are many bands that had a 45-year career that were as close as we were.
I know right after the tour, both Geddy and I felt like we still had a lot of gas in the tank. The show looked great. We were playing really, really well. If we could just squeeze out another 150 shows, But
yeah, I was hoping that, let's be honest, it was frustrating to end when we ended. I was frustrated because I worked so hard on that tour in terms of design and putting it all together, and the whole concept of going backwards, a chronology that exposes itself or exploits itself while going back in time, And so I was really proud of it. I wanted to take it to Europe to play for the European fans. I wanted to take it to South America, and that wasn't going to happen. So it was truncated, in my view, in my mind. And I had to swallow that because I had to think of my friend's needs and what he wanted. But it was frustrating. And so we walked away from that, and we went to do our other things. I went traveling. Alex was golfing, and then Neil got sick. And so what do you do with all those feelings?
Yeah.
Right.
You just throw them away because they don't mean anything anymore.
Did you at some before you found out? I imagine maybe deep in some part of your heart, you thought maybe we can play a show again.
Oh yeah, I thought
Sure,
maybe he has 3 months at home. He'll get sick of them and he'll want to come back on the road and play with the boys.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Of course, I had a feeling that wouldn't be the case, and I think Al did as well. But you never know. Regardless, we just went on with our lives, and then he got sick, and everything changed.
Grief is hard, but knowing that you're grieving in a public context too. That's what's really, really bizarre about what you have to experience.
Yeah, because it is a very private kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he didn't want anyone to know.
Yeah.
He just didn't. He wanted to keep it in the house. Yeah. And we did. And that was hard.
And you're an emotional guy. You're emotional, right?
Too.
Yeah, right, yeah. So,
excuse me, he's Serbian.
Yeah, that's right. You're both very emotional people, and the mustn't grumble doesn't always work with emotional people.
Right.
Yeah.
How hard that is. So here you are, grown-ass men with lots of success, and you have to learn a new way to do something again, like how to handle it.
Yeah, that was hard. Yeah. I can't tell you it was easy because it was not easy, and it was ongoing. Yeah. And his diagnosis was, he was given 18 months at the most, and it went on 3.5 years.
Right.
Wow.
And so that was a constant flow of us, going to see him, giving him support. And what his family had to live through was really difficult. Mm-hmm. And so it was a lot of back and forth. And when you're in that state, it's very hard to function normally. Right. Because you can't talk to anyone about it.
Right.
Because no one's supposed to know. And so people hear rumblings and they bring things up to you and you deflect it.
Right.
And so that feels, on the one hand, it feels dishonest.
Right.
But on the other hand, you're being loyal to your friend.
Right.
So fuck the
Jeez.
dishonesty part.
Right.
You know, that wins. And so I would say that was the most difficult time for us to move forward during that whole thing, because we were in this bubble of grief, sort of walking towards an inevitable and terrible conclusion.
Right. And then you still have to live. You still have to feel. You still have to be vital. After all this, that process takes its time too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I imagine you're still in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have your projects. You know, are you playing?
I play,
Yeah.
but I've forgotten how to turn on my tape recorder.
Do you play without that? There's got to be tapes. There's got to be licks somewhere.
No, I go down and play, and I know that there'll be a moment. I've been working on this memoir, which I don't know if you speak Jewish, but I now refer to as my fakakta memoir. It's a project I thought was a great idea at the time, and now I'm finding that it's just soaking up my entire being. So I'm looking forward to delivering the first draft of that, and then I will have a free space in my mind, and you know, in a way, it was a kind of therapy for me to work through all of these things, and I think I will be then in a good state of mind to move forward.
I can't wait to talk about the book when the book happens. But this idea of therapy is, you know, different forms of therapy is really interesting.
Yeah, for me, that the year after Neil's death was the most difficult. That's the real grieving period.
Yeah.
I didn't really play much, didn't listen to music, just couldn't stop thinking about it. But it was almost after the anniversary, it was like walking through a door. It's like, okay, now I'm just going to think about the good stuff and look forward to doing something else. And then got involved in the Envy of None project. And that felt really good because I was playing on a regular basis, doing something that I've always done. I felt like that was a really great therapy for me. We all find it.
Yeah, no, I mean, but you were always that dude. Like,
Yeah.
you always had a guitar in your dressing room. You had a guitar in your hotel room,
Yeah.
and you smoke a joint, and I could hear you 3 doors down in a hotel playing on your balcony. You're connected to that guitar. You have to play. That's who you are. You know.
It's different.
I have other interests, and I got sidetracked into this the history of my instrument. So I was still writing, you know, about music. When I did the Big Book of Bass, I was obsessed with my instrument. I was playing every day, and I was investigating every instrument known to man that's ever been built with 4 strings. Yeah. So it was a different kind of re-education, and to me, I was paying homage to the instrument that brought me everything, you know. And so that felt like a worthwhile endeavor, like a good use of my time. And that took me 2 years through a very difficult part of that whole process.
But what a great result. That book is just amazing.
Yeah.
No. It's
Spoken like my friend.
Yeah, it's stunning.
It's stunning, and
They are very.
what it doesn't ever feel like.
They're
when I
not
went
like
through it
competitive
was,
with each other in any way, shape, or form.
oh, Geddy
They're
plays
very
bass, so someone
supportive
else assembled
of each
this, and
other,
we're putting
which is
Geddy's
cool.
name, and he approved it.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like an approved book. It felt like work. You came by it in an authentic, honest way.
Yeah, no, it was work, but it was really educational. And I just can't tell you how much I learned about my own instrument. It was a great project to do, and I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
What you said about you didn't really think about music is really, really interesting, because I've heard a few cats talk about this when they lose somebody or when they go through this. Suddenly this thing that's a huge part of their life, they're not even thinking about it anymore, and now there's a whole open space in their brain. And trying to figure out how I don't have the tools to do this without the guitar in my hand.
Yeah.
And what that has been like for you.
Yeah, it was the same thing when Neil lost his wife and daughter. Really was not interested in music at all for a year. And then after that period, it's just a reawakening. You've gone through your grief. Now it's time to get back into the world. And that seems to work for me. I suppose people can process a little quicker or a little later, but that's what it is for me. This seems like a year is that grieving period, and then it's time to move on. And it was a relief, actually, to move out of that with this one, because I really missed it.
Right.
You know, it's to think you can trick your heart
Yeah.
is a foolish endeavor.
And get the truth, right?
You can't. It has to take its own course.
Yeah, you can rationalize it all you want.
Yeah. If you're honest and honest with yourself, you have to let it happen when it's going to happen. And it's a process everyone goes through in a different way. It's not easy.
You lost your mom too, so like it's not been, I guess, fire hose on you this in a way. You're like this grief and experience.
Well, it's certainly put me in a reflective state of mind. Let's put it like that. And I'm looking forward to be less reflective in the future. I can't wait to become empty and shallow once again.
Stay in rock and roll long enough, and that just might happen.
That might happen.
Good to have goals.
Yeah. Good to have goals. Yeah.
So if you go in the bass, if you go down and you don't turn the record on and you play, have you guys played together at all? Just messed around?
No, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
Really?
Yeah.
We talk about it
We
an
talk
awful
about it a
lot.
lot.
Hey, why don't you come over and bring the guitar? Let's play like you. That kind of.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that. But instead, we get drunk.
Yeah. Or we drink a lot of coffee. And we don't quite make it downstairs.
I mean, that's the human two brothers kind of thing that people kind of forget. That it's not as easy as just let's play.
Yeah, but you know what? That's a special thing that we know we have.
Yeah.
And one day we will.
Yeah.
One day.
I'm sure of it. We spend so much time together anyways, even though...
Like you actually do. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spending time together. We go out for dinner, we do stuff.
And we have the best time when we go out, just the two of us.
It's awesome.
We did that about a month and a half ago. We hadn't had dinner in a while. We just went out to dinner. And I remember the feeling. We sat down at the table. We looked across the table. And this is where we have been for 45, 50 years together. Yeah. And we both did a double-handed high five.
Make me cry.
And continued the evening. And got pretty wasted. It was good.
But it was great because we'd done it so many times before. And just being that far away from each other, looking at each other, it just brought a flood of memories of all the times we did that.
Right.
And you think...
in different places in the world.
And you think, like, what the fuck can you still talk about, right? You think, like, we've been having dinner together for 55 years. What is there left to talk about? We never are lacking for something to talk about or something to joke about.
Well, and the world is laying enough to talk about anyway, that getting each other's perspectives, especially going back on this, like we talked about witch hunt, like there's just a lot of shit in the world right now. You're two smart, engaged people. You're going to feel those things and talk about those things.
All right. Kitty, what do you think? Part 2. Very, very good. Very cool. There's a lot. Yeah, all the stuff with Neil, man, that is just so... I like all this. This is really, it's like a lot to process, and just like, it's all just like bouncing around, like passing the plate back and forth between them. It's a great conversation. Hearing all that Neil stuff is just really just terrible. It's like, I know, Kitty, right? It's just, these are opportunities for getting to know these people more on a deeper level, not just the music. So it's really cool. It's really good. This is a great interview. All right, amazing. All right, we got one more part to go. Part 3. And I'll see you then. Later.